The United States versus Billie Holiday. That's right, the United States versus Billie Holiday. Now, let me first say that, there have been many documentaries out about Lady Day, about how she sang, about who her comrades in the music business were, why she was such a talent. So many documentaries. There have been documentaries out concerning and speaking to her use of heroin, right? There have been documentaries out that just combine the two. There was a film called Lady Sings the Blues, produced by Motown Pictures, starring that queen of pop and R&B, Diana Ross, right? But I have none of those films or documentaries delve in with the facts that Lee Daniels bring in this film called The United States versus Billie Holiday. All of those films, all of those documentaries dull in comparison because there are certain situations that you did not know were actually going on, right? Like in Lady Sings the Blues, her right-hand man, Lady Day's right-hand man, played by Richard Pryor, was a piano player. But in actuality, her right-hand man is Lester Young, right? They had come through the Chitlin circuit together. He was her saxophone player. If you don't know who Lester Young is, you need to learn your jazz history, and on YouTube you can listen to a lot of Lester Young, the Press. You can listen to a lot of Lester Young and Billie Holiday on YouTube after the show is over. Now, what makes this movie so good is they bring out a fact that most don't know. Billie Holiday was being hunted, right? She was being hunted by the drug enforcement end of the FBI. You see, there's J. Edgar Hoover, and then his right-hand man. They ran the FBI together. He was in head of the drug enforcement, and they created a whole division to be able to go in and infiltrate the black community, and they used black people to do it. People who came back from the military. And the person that they chose to infiltrate Billie Holiday's concern was a person whose parents and his condition was pretty well off. He was middle class to upper middle class.
Yep, Jimmy Fletcher.
Jimmy Fletcher. His father was a mortician, right? And so
he
owned his own mortuary.
Right.
He had died. His son Fletcher came back from the military after his service. He told his mom that he had got a brand new job, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And he said that he was a reporter. But in actuality, you have to watch the film.
Yeah, you do.
Right? You have to watch the film. You have to see how this unfolds and how Lady Day's relationship with this particular person unfolds. Let's go through the cast.
Starring Andrea Day as Billie Holiday, Trevante Rhodes, Jimmy Fletcher, Garrett Hudlin, Melvin Gregg, Tyler James Williams, plays Lester Young.
You know, Tyler James Williams
Yeah.
is
Everybody hates Chris.
That's right. But he embodies Lester Young.
Yeah.
His timbre and his voice is what Lester Young sounded much like when he spoke.
Yeah, and Garrett Hudlin, Garrett, I believe it's what is Hoodlund
Headland or Hoodland
plays the commissioner, right?
Right.
So he's part of the FBI that's going after Lady
what
Day.
commissioner? What's the name?
You know, it cuts off. See, it just says.
I won't give you the name. Okay, go back.
But yeah, so let me see. Oh, it's going through its process. At least she's not yelling at me because this phone likes to yell. Devon Joy did an excellent job. Devon Joy Randolph plays Rosalind.
You know her from
Rudy Ray Moore's film.
the Dolomite film, right?
Yeah.
My Name is Dolomite, right? The Eddie Murphy film, excuse me.
Yeah.
She plays his main woman in the film and comedy, right?
Yep. Tone Bell plays John Levy. Rob Morgan plays McKay, and in the Lady Sings the Blues film, that's the character
Billie D. Williams
played. So when I saw McKay enter the screen, I automatically thought, oh, that's what Billie D. Williams played in Lady Sings the Blues, which is interesting. The next character, Agent Sam, is played by Evan Ross, Diana Ross's son.
That's right. Agent Sam goes so far as to learn how to play the trumpet. Maybe that was something that he had in his repertoire, but to blend in, he goes in to play the trumpet to be able to infiltrate. Because you see, the FBI thought that jazz music was the devil's music and it was spreading immoral thought amongst the black community. And really what they were saying was because white people, were coming in to partake, that it was spreading immorals to the white folks, right? Yeah. So why was the FBI after Lady Day to take her livelihood away from her? It was because of a song.
And you will see which song we're talking about when you see the film.
It is because of a song. Now, Lee Daniels deserves some Oscar nods.
Yes.
The young lady who portrays Lady Day deserves Oscar nods.
Yeah, Andrea Day, she did an excellent job.
She never breaks character. No. She never breaks Lady Day's singing voice.
Nope.
She captures Lady Day from the beginning of the film to the middle to the conclusion, and she captures Lady Day as she continues to arc, as she descends down. And when you know what Lady Day looked like before, and you go through and you see how she looked in the end, she captures this transformation all the way through.
She immersed herself in the character, because I read one of her interviews, and she lost 40 pounds to play the role. She said she began drinking and smoking because she wasn't a drinker or a smoker. So she also did that in order to get a feel of the character, to help embody the character, and that she did. Like you said, her acting was just superb. Watching this film, you could not tell me that I wasn't like looking at Billie Holiday. You just
That's right. Like you were actually there, seeing her in Technicolor instead of right. So Tanya M. Conger says, was that Andrea Day's first film? Yes, her first feature film.
Yeah, her first feature film.
Because at first she said she didn't want to do it because Diane, because of the portrayal
Right.
that Diana Ross had done.
Right.
And she didn't want to do anything to taint that.
Right.
And not stand up to that portrayal. So she didn't really want to do it at first.
Right.
But she did it. And let me tell you something.
She did a great job.
Lee Daniels' blocking on this film. First of all, his research gives him Oscar nod already. But the way that he blocks the film, there's a scene where Lady Day gets off the bus, because back then the buses didn't have restrooms.
Right.
She got off as she was coming from out of a field, and there's a scene that's taking place that causes her to lose it, right? And she goes into this shack, but as she walks into the shack, you see that the people who own the shack had nice things inside the shack.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how they say people who live in the projects, but when you go into their home, you wouldn't know that they were in the projects, right? So this is what this is. And so she's passing through, but what happens, it turns into a sequence montage where she's going through this room. Next thing you know, that she's getting ready to get a hit, then you see a person come in and stop the hit. She walks through another room and she's crying and she's looking at something else, then something else happens, and then so it looks like it's happening to her in modern time, but in the end her hairdresser and her stylist come and they're making her up to go out on stage. So then it went from being real time, her actually experiencing, into a flashback before she decides to take the stage to sing this certain song. And the actions and everything that happened, the situation that caused her to lose it, to go into this montage, makes her decide that she's going to sing this song. And
Lee Daniels, he did a beautiful job, because we had to stop and talk about that scene.
Yes,
it was just beautifully done. You have to see this film.
You have to see this film.
Have to see this film.
The United States versus Lady Day. So let's break it down now. Cinematography is a 10. The use of movement, the lighting, the use of low key in this picture, right, is a 10. The character development, introducing you to the primary characters and the secondary characters within the ensemble, which makes this move, right, is a 10. The character arc on this film, the United States versus Billie Holiday, the way it goes, the way that she arcs from who she is to the end, and the last thing that she tells the FBI agent, I mean, it will have you, it sits you up in your seat and you're proud because it's true. That's a 10, right?
That scene had me crying.
The wardrobe, right? Nothing amiss in the wardrobe. The time, the way that they recreated Times Square, 1930s, 40s. It's a 10. It's a 10.
Hair, makeup.
The hair and makeup. 10. The use of the vehicles, right? Is a 10. The plot line, storyline, through line of this story, 10, right? Just at the point, now I will say this, there is a doldrum in the film, right? And I think it's because filmmakers today, and I think Lee Daniels connecting from a heyday in the 90s coming into today, we saw this in Little Acts. We noticed that Steve McQueen, director, not to be confused with the actor from the 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Steve McQueen the black director extended scenes, meaning he made scenes go longer than they seem to need to give the audience the feel of time, of how long something actually took within real time.
Right.
So it appeared to be a doldrum right in the middle, just before she comes from out of the field and the action happens.
We discussed that.
That is and then all of a sudden the movie just picks up and flies from there. But it comes to a point where you say, well, let's get to the point of the film, and just then it comes to getting to the point of the film. That was from my perspective.
Right, because when he said that, I'm like, okay, so where did you see, what did you call, what's your
Adultery.
So I'm like, where did you see a slowdown? Because there was not a slowdown. I'm like, are you talking about the dialogue? And you know, I love words, right? So then I'm immersed in the words and the characters. But I have seen films where there are doldrums, because we discuss it and we'll talk about it during the film. But at the moment you told me that, you was like, what did you say? Oh, the doldrum just ended. And I'm like, what doldrum? That wasn't a doldrum. That was just
they could have clipped. They could have clipped
forth.
about 10 minutes off the film.
I feel it was perfect. So it's up to you. But I didn't see any doldrums.
But that doesn't take away from the film, because just as it's elongated to show time, to show depression, which this is a filmmaker's auteur's choice these days, to extend the film out, to give it that depression feel, to give that slow down or boredom of
and
time.
It fleshes out the characters, and it gives you it's like the different little nuances of each of the personalities and the mannerisms, and because Lee Daniels, we reviewed his previous films as well as his TV shows.
This is his best work.
Well, this is an Oscar film right here.
This is
Oscar award-winning film right here. But he does a great job of fleshing out characters, and you feel like you know them, and you can relate to some of them, and you love the conversation and the talk back and forth, and because it had us cracking up laughing, right? Because it's real talk, right?
Because it's a discussion in the film about this song, right? At the top of the film, and then you go through 2/3 of the film, and the song is not discussed. So then we get into, let's get to the point of why they are trying to take her livelihood away, and show as soon as you say that, the scene happens and it kicks off and it speeds up and it goes from there. So it was a auteur's choice, a director's choice, to slow it down to give you that depression feel to Billie Holiday's story, which I'll accept that. But I will also say that in older time, it would be considered a doldrum, right? So
I love that scene when they tell you why they are going after this woman, and it was powerful,
So what would you rate the United States 10. Versus Billie Holiday?
Definitely another 10 times 10 times 10, So, I mean, this is just well done. Just
done.
Beautiful piece of work. And you know what? I also enjoyed Lady Sings the Blues. I love Diana Ross's film, right? And then that was with a Motown film, and great film also. And then I told you the difference. I'm like, okay, so that film, the music, the singing, gave you a part of Billie Holiday's life, right? And then move forward into this film, United States versus Billie Holiday. It picks up and it shows us the government going after her, and we also get a taste of where she came from, how she was raised, how she was treated. And then he just does a beautiful job when he explains, when he shows. This is another film where the sound can be down because there are scenes where like cinematography just like shows it all.
The
like
editing.
The editing is just
Cinematography
beautiful,
editing.
just beautiful, right? And it just told us why
it was the way she was.
Right, because of how she was raised. I mean, it's just...
And other films, like other documentaries, leave you short, and you'll say, well, why was she acting like that?
This film describes it. It gives you a total picture.
Because even
Closer.
the Lady Sings the Blues left out why she acted the way she acted. But this film right here, why she did what she did, why she was the way she was, is well flushed out. It humanizes Billie Holiday. So that's why I give it a 10.
Andrea Day was definitely born like for this role. And I understand why Lee Daniels was like, no, this is your role. This is for you. I mean, because she I don't want to say killed it, but she just did such a great job in it. And she was in this film, Lady Day, right?
And she was dedicated.
And Lee Daniels also was like dedicated. You can tell that this was a labor of love for him, right? Mm-hmm. And so he was born to do this film.
He was.
So, I mean, they just did such a great job. And then let's not just leave out, like, while watching this film, I said to you, oh my gosh, listen to that song. I've never heard that song before. So they introduced you to
songs that you
don't hear, right, in Billie Holiday's catalog. So the music is just superb. The acting is just superb. Everything is just superb. It was just well done. And this film deserves like
an Oscar nod, if not the
Oscar nod.
Yeah, it's for the best picture for sure, and best director, best lead actor,
right.
acting,
cinematography,
actress. It would be actress,
music.
But, you know,
it deserves an award, right? Supporting cast. I mean, because it's just like the supporting cast was just powerful. Mm-hmm. They just did he did such a great job. This is definitely like a labor of love. Every particle of this
film is.
It's beautiful.
And I remember when they said that he was going to be remaking Lady Sings the Blues. I said, remaking Lady Sings the Blues? But no, he wasn't remaking. He was making his own standalone piece that goes in the annals of film. This is a classic already, right?
Beautiful.
It is a classic. Beautiful. It is worth seeing. It comes out February 26th.
Yes.
It comes out February 26th on Hulu.
And I'm going to watch it when it comes out then.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is a special early bird review of the United States versus Billie Holiday on #TFR Podcast Live. Both of us give it a 10.
Yes.